What is going on, everybody? It's your man, Eric Wilson, for a Monday night here on the Sports Arena. Yes, it is the first Monday night football game of the 2022 NFL season. Sorry to interrupt your daily scheduled program, but it's 10 o'clock. So, of course, we got to be back in the building. I got the crew here with me, but we've got a jam packed show. Not even going to waste any time tonight. As you can see, we're hitting all these topics. We got Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, the Green Bay Packers. We're going to recap the Buffalo Rams game because we haven't talked about it, of course, special teams, and then I got one here: Justin Fields and or Trey Lance. But let me get the crew in here. Gentlemen, what's going on? Good evening. Ray will be joining us momentarily. How's everybody doing?
Football's here, man.
My
John,
team
what's up,
won. I'm
brother?
happy.
All right, well, good man. So, you know what? Let's get to the first topic of the night. And in fact, it is, speaking of John's Miami Dolphins, unfortunately, it is Tyreek Hill's former team, the Kansas City Chiefs. So, gentlemen, I got a quick question here I want to ask him. I have it scroll across the bottom and tell me what you think about this. Patrick Mahomes' performance, was it just a one-time thing? Or is this what we are going to be seeing the rest of this season now that he doesn't have Tyreek Hill? John, I'm going to start with you on this one.
No, I mean, I don't know if we're talking yards, touchdowns, or what. I mean, his performance was good, but let's not pretend like it was like historically great or something like that. I mean, if you look at some of his touchdowns, these are 1 yard dink and dunk type touchdowns. This is what Lamar Jackson did in his MVP year. 1 yard touchdown. Hey, let me run up my stats. Let me underhand the ball to somebody, to Clyde Edwards-Helaire for 1 yard, and it's a touchdown. Like, most of his touchdowns were, inside the 5? Like, it wasn't that impressive to me. It said more to me about the Cardinals than it said about the Chiefs. I still don't buy the Chiefs. Like, yeah, you had a nice performance, but to me, it just says that the Cardinals are just not a very good team, and they're not ready. I don't overreact to week 1. The Chiefs still are not that good of a team, so read into it what you will, but I
So
mean,
they
I don't
won,
buy into these
John.
dink and dunk 1 yard touchdowns. Let me run up my stats.
Okay, but it was a touchdown, was it not?
Yeah,
And the Chiefs
congratulations.
did win, did they not?
They did.
So I understand it's week one, and we're not going to be like all hail Patrick Mahomes. But when you have someone who has is skillful and was a complimentary piece, if not the main side dish to Patrick Mahomes, now you're sitting here telling me that without him, they were still able to beat yet another NFL team, but you're not putting too much stock into this. This is what I'm understanding.
No, I'm not putting any stock into this. I mean, like I said, you got the win, but when you play better competition, like, it's not quite the same. I mean, they're gonna play the Chargers this Thursday, and that's a little bit better competition than the Arizona Cardinals, who, my money, are just, they're not even a team that's gonna win 9 games. I mean, they look terrible. They don't look prepared. They look lost. I just don't put that much into it. They're still not the best team in the AFC West.
All right. Well, let me go to Mike then. Mike, talk to me about Arizona. Sorry, excuse me. Talk to me about the Chiefs and what you saw from this game yesterday. And Mike, you're muted, brother. We can't hear you.
Sorry, John can be off in his la la land of Dolphins bliss. That's fine. So Patrick Mahomes goes 30 for 39, right? Has 5 touchdowns, right? Okay, well, there weren't all dinks and dunks. It was 9.2 yards per pass. Everybody was saying, with the Rams Bills game, Josh Allen, you know what his was? What he was getting praised for? Because, again, he did have a hell of a game, too, even though he did have an interception. Josh Allen was at 9.6 yards average per pass. So, again, for 0.4 yards, Patrick Mahomes, again, pushing it down the field, those receivers, again, he moved it around. Did the Cardinals struggle? Yeah, I'm not going to take that away. But the Chiefs, Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, crazy, had a great game plan going. So for Patrick Mahomes, no, I don't think it's yes, it is a start. And he's a diehard competitor. And to get to that level, the ego. But when everybody was saying Josh Allen could throw it the furthest, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he wasn't snapping, but there was just little things out there like I can match Josh Allen. like throwing it as far as they can throw, right? So for Mahomes to hear this all season, all off season, and then into the preseason about Tyreek Hill and everybody, but people, me included, Eric, were saying Andy Reid is going to have an offensive plan. Andy Reid did have an offensive plan. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire he didn't rush for a ton, but rushing and receiving, I think he was up over like 75, 80 yards. So again, they're going to mix it up. You still have Travis Kelce, who led them in receptions and yards. So yeah, Patrick Mahomes is going to be fine. He can, and maybe they're not the best team in the NFC in the AFC West, pardon me, but they're going to be. It's going to be damn close. And we saw. I mean, what the? But I know we'll talk matchups later. But them playing the Chargers, them playing the Chargers this Thursday on a short week. If the Chargers don't have Keenan Allen, but everything that Justin Herbert starting his career against them did, him and Patrick Mahomes are going to have an epic battle. So look, Mahomes is right there. I'm not getting on John's bandwagon, but Eric, you used the right word. I'm not going to overreact either. If he has a bad game, I'm not going to say, oh, it was a fluke. If he does this again on Thursday against the Chargers, I'm not going to be like, see, everybody's wrong. Like you said, it's a 17-game season now. Everybody wants
touchdowns, Mike.
Everybody wants to freak out today. 5 touchdowns, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, his 5 touchdowns, 9-yard touchdown pass, 3-yard touchdown pass, 4-yard touchdown pass, 1-yard touchdown pass, 2-yard touchdown pass. Oh wow!
Right,
Dink and Dunk run up my touchdown.
Every single one of your points, every single one of your stats there, they move the ball down the field. He threw deep passes.
I'm not saying he didn't have a good game.
9.2.
I'm just saying, you say 5 touchdowns.
Guess what? You're going to say we're not talking about that.
But
He's better than
Lamar Jackson did his MVP year to run up to 36 touchdowns. Was through 1-yard touchdowns every time.
Right, because you moved the ball down the field. There were some pretty big passes and big completions. Watch the game.
I did watch the game.
Still Patrick Mahomes. It's still Patrick Mahomes, and it's 9.2.
I'm not saying he didn't have a good game.
Touchdown at 9.6. Look at that. The ball's driving down the field. Mahomes is at 9.2.
I'm just saying the 5 touchdowns are a little bit misleading.
Great. You still got to get the touchdowns. 5 touchdowns. I'm sorry. Misleading. Did Tua throw 5 touchdowns? Tua couldn't throw 5 touchdowns.
From the 1-yard line easily. From the 1-yard line easily.
But he didn't drive him down the field consistently
like Mahomes. He literally underhanded the ball to one guy for a touchdown.
Hey, so did Daniel Jones for a 2-point conversion. Eric, this is blasphemy.
Hey, John,
talked about that.
John, I hate to, when she's not here, but I am going to use the Queen of Hoops words against you, sir. Winning matters. Okay? Doesn't matter how it gets done, John. This has nothing to do with
winning. This is all about the stats and whether.
How is this about stats? The question was, John, did you let me put it again. It's as it's scrolling across the bottom here. Was this a one-game performance, or is this what we should expect? John, he's been dinking and dunking his entire career. So again, we should be expecting this from Patrick Mahomes. Those little dink and dunks, whether they go for 9 yards, whether they go for 90 yards. The fact of the matter is, this is Patrick Mahomes utilizing the tools and the weapons that he has and still continuing to win.
It sounds
I'm not overreacting, John.
Game yesterday.
I'm just talking about what he did yesterday. And what he did yesterday was show that without Tyreek Hill, he is still able to win. He is still able to get the job done. And most importantly, he is still able to be a threat, not only in his division, but in the entire NFL.
And Eric,
go ahead, Mike.
Point real quick, not 3 drives, 3 scoring drives, 9 plays, 66 yards, 11 plays, 75 yards, 11 plays, 75 yards. That's called being a dominant quarterback in offense and moving the damn ball down the field.
The Cardinals just aren't a very good team.
Vance Joseph can make adjustments. That's a conversation for another day. 11 plays, 75 yards.
All right.
Usually somebody screws up somewhere, and they're leading to touchdowns.
The Cardinals did screw up a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
stick a pin in that. We'll come back to that. Let's move on to our next topic here tonight. And Mike, I apologize in advance. Not really, but I have to talk about this. As you know, Dak Prescott, sir, is going to be out. So, Mike Caratanudo, what does this mean for your Dallas Cowboys?
Well, we're in the day and age of nobody can really pay a backup quarterback. Eric, going back to our youth, I'll say for us, our really early youth, but Steve Young behind Joe Montana. That's one of the things you're not paying a backup quarterback because of the cap space. And quarterbacks, I just talked about Mahomes being competitive. Like, you get in the league, you want to start, you want to play. So it's tough to sign a good backup quarterback. Dak's, look, his numbers weren't great before the injury. The offense, yes, crazy struggling. And I did miss your best friend, Amari Cooper. He was obviously contributed in Cleveland's win yesterday, but the separation, CeeDee Lamb got separation. Nobody else really did. So, but for Dak, and you look at this, yes, it's a bad injury. And of course, I was around Cowboys haters last night. I know that surprises you, Eric. I was around a lot of Cowboys haters and like, oh, your little thumb hurt. And I said to everybody, how dare you? Sorry, that was an excited highlight from my computer. Sorry, Eric.
All good.
No, they're saying, oh, his thumb, this and that. And I said, do you guys know how much an NFL ball weighs? Because if you've ever picked them up or held them, you know they're heavy. And I said, this has got to be bad for him to go off and say, look at this. And he couldn't grip the ball. Well, if you can't grip the ball with your thumb, you're not throwing it well. It's a bad injury. It's tough. Adam Schefter already reported that he had the surgery today, 6 to 8 weeks. Jerry Jones says they're going to stay pat. Stephen Jones, I think, is making more decisions. Jerry Jones is giving sound bites, but I don't think you can make a trade, Eric. So, I mean, again, I don't think anybody's going to want to help him out anyway. But it's a tough injury, and the offense looked bad. The defense, again, to only give up 12 points and 4 field goals and 1 touchdown, you figure you'd have a great chance to win the game if it was anything like last year. But it's going to be tough for Dak. The offense is going to have to really go to Zeke, and McGovern got banged up on the O-line too. So it's looking like 2 years ago. Knock on wood. Hopefully he doesn't get that bad. I mean, Tyron Smith already went down, Dak now, and then McGovern too. So it's looking ugly, but I'm not going to make excuses because everybody else is just going to want to pound on him like they did 2 years ago. So that's just how it is. But it's a crap injury, and I don't even know how effective he is when he gets back, Eric. All the great rehab and it's still your thumb. You still have to grip the ball. How effective are you going to be? And especially
hopefully the surgery will give him, he has 68 weeks. He has the time to get himself back together. Let's see how the second half of the season looks for Dallas. I want to welcome in my man, our co-host, sports reporter without pay, Ray Lynn, is in the building. Good evening, sir. What's going on?
What's up, man? Y'all excuse me with my technical difficulties I had going on over here.
Listen, man, it's 2022. We have just come to, I'm usually lagging. I'm surprised that I'm not tonight. Well, actually, I am. I can see myself on the screen. Thank you. So, Ray Lynn, we were talking about, and I know you heard it in the background, but we're talking about Dak Prescott and the injury. So, sir, let me ask you, what does it mean for the Cowboys and the NFC East?
Well, for the Cowboys, man, it's not many teams that can withstand the loss of their starting quarterback, right? Like, especially Dallas, because Zeke, I don't know what happened to him, right? When you look at Dak's rookie year where they went, I think, 13-3, the game plan was handed to Zeke 25, 30 times a game. Even going back to the DeMarco Murray days when they had success, it was handing the ball off 25, 30 times. And Zeke was great his rookie year. He was great his second year, and he was really good, and then he just kept going down. So now their formula for winning has no longer existed for the last 2 years. It's been Dak airing it out all over the yard. They won some games last year, but that's never been the Cowboys' successful formula, even going back to the 90s, right? It was handed off to Emmitt Smith. So now the offense has to go back through the guy who steadily declined every year. And again, y'all was talking about Dak coming back. Even when he comes back, I don't know I don't know what that does for their team. Like, hopefully this injury can get them back to what's always worked for them, and maybe Zeke can refine his form. But even if Dak was healthy, like, the Cowboys would probably win 9-10 games, but I don't know if that's ever been their calling card, was to have their quarterback aired out over the yard. But this sucks for them because who's their backup? Is it Cooper Rush?
That's
the backup.
Yeah, Cooper Rush.
Yeah, who? Like, y'all remember on NBA on TNT who he played for? Like, Cooper Rush. You can put his picture up right now, and 90% of people would know who he is. So now, I mean, with Zeke already playing bad, and everybody was raving about Pollard. Oh, everybody's stacking 8 in the box against Dallas now. So it's going to be a rough season for them, man. It's Philadelphia's division to lose.
John Scheer, talk to me about this,
I've been waiting for this. Oh, all that Tua slander, Mike, that you've been giving me. I've been waiting for this. But first, we're going to touch on Zeke's stats, because since Kellen Moore took over, he has not hit 300 carries. This is the third year with Kellen Moore. He barely hit 1,000 yards last year, 979 the year before. Before Kellen Moore took over, 1,300 yards, 1,400 yards. He had a 1,600-yard season. He had nearly 400 touches in 2018. He had over 350 touches in 2019. Kellen Moore comes in, under 300 carries. Next year, under 300 carries. Like, Kellen Moore's just not giving him the ball. They used to give him the ball over 300 times, 350 times a year. Now he's not even touching the ball 300 times a year. Of course, your star running back's not going to hit the same numbers when he's losing 50 to 100 touches a year. Like, come on, that's common sense. Kellen Moore needs to say, hey, our best player needs to touch the ball 50 to 100 times more a game, but yet he's not doing that, and he's not getting the yardage.
And John,
now,
right.
yards per carry still 4.0 and above. But if he's your best player, why are you giving him the ball 100 times less a year? Like, that makes absolutely no sense.
Let me ask you a question, though, John. Like, do you think, like, you know how some teams, right, they beat up on you all game, right? And then as the game wears on, that run becomes more and more difficult to stop. Do you think that that's where Zeke's strength lies? Because it's not just the overall touches, right? Obviously, his yards per game have decreased every single year. But even his yards per carry are decreasing, where in his rookie year, he's 5.1. Then the next year, 4. The next year, 4.7. Then it went 4.5, 4.0, 4.2.
But I think, like you said, kind of like Derrick Henry, where, like, as you get, the more touches you get in a game, the better you get. Like, Derrick Henry is like that. The more you feed him, the better he gets. I think Zeke is like that too. And so if he's only, like last year, I think it was 13 carries a game he averaged, which is not Zeke-like. You need to be giving him around 20 carries a game, not 13. 13 was a career low for him last year. And I just don't understand what Kellen Moore, this isn't a Zeke thing, but this does have to do with the Cowboys. Like, you're not giving them the ball enough. Like, even, like, the Bucs only put up 19 points. You could have ran the ball a lot more than 10 times with Zeke. He had averaged 5.2 last night, just 10 carries. Like, what are you doing? What, like, I get the line isn't that great, but if he's your best player, why not give him the ball?
Ray, to your point, and John, to your point too, Peyton, like, for Zeke, and I'm going to relate to the Jets game, because the Jets-Ravens game, because you come out with a backup quarterback yesterday and throw 59 times. The Cowboys last year, to John's point, when I was in Tampa with Eric, they, like, Dak's coming off, like, having, his ankle reattached basically, and Kellen Moore throws it 59 times because everybody talks the Bucs.
It's almost like Kellen Moore is like, hey,
Kellen Moore should be fired. Believe
throw
me,
the ball.
I've said this a million times on the show. Kellen Moore's worthless, should be fired. And it's not after one game. You're right. It's after a whole year and then a second year of it. Joe Flacco threw 59 times yesterday. Dak threw 59 times last year. They lose by 3. And again, 100%. Dak wasn't looking good, like I said before, the injury, guys. But if you give Zeke the ball, 10 carries yesterday, 52 yards, like John said, 5.2 a carry. Right, like you said, that's going back to what, and it's one game, but that's going back to what he was doing his first year. And I said this last year, you can't quit with the run game. Tyron Smith was healthy for that game. Zach Martin was healthy last year for that game. So you had a chance, and Eric and I were watching the game. Zeke busted a run. Remember, Eric, for 17 yards. I looked at him and I said, Kellen Moore needs to hands it back to him. You know what the next 7 plays were for Dallas? 8 plays for Dallas, right? Were all passes. Kellen Moore is worthless. And I get Zeke has gone down. I don't disagree.
Hey,
but if you give him the ball, he gets better.
Mike, can we dial it back on the Kellen Moore being trash, though? The Dallas Cowboys did have the number 1 offense in the NFL last year and went 12-5. Like, let's not call the guy worthless. Like that, like we can say a lot of things. You don't have the number 1 offense in the NFL while winning 12 games and be worthless. Okay, like, you may not like what he's doing, but it was working.
But and this isn't a shot, obviously, at Eric being an Eagles fan, but the rest of our division, as all of you said last year, was absolutely terrible. The Cowboys went 6-0 and averaged 35 points a game in those 6 games.
Yeah, so that's 6 out of 17. They had the number 1 offense in the NFL. They won 12 games.
Right, they were 12-5.
But but 6 of them came in the division. So when 50% of your when 50% of your games are coming against teams that are not on the same level as a Green Bay, a Tampa Bay, a Los Angeles Rams, I mean, I'm not and trust me, I have to eat a bunch of crow, because even though we got into the playoffs, we were not who I anticipated or wanted us to be last year. Okay. And I'm man enough to say that the Eagles were not who I wanted them to be. But when you get 50% of your wins from your division alone, that kind of it speaks to John's point about momentum. It speaks to what this team is capable of doing. I just feel like this with regards to the injury. Dak is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. We've seen this before. When Dak doesn't play, because he, to me, is the glue that holds this team together, this team is probably going to get over the next 6, 7, 8 weeks, however long it takes Dak to get back, which I hope he doesn't rush it and injure himself more. But he's a football player, so he very well might. And if he does, then that's on him. I have no sympathy. I'm going to tell you right now. I already don't like the fans. If Dak Prescott does not take the full time to heal and come back and help this team try to make some sort of a run to the playoffs because you want to get back early, then guess what? You brought that on yourself. What does it mean for the rest of the NFC East, though? Ray already said it. It's the Eagles' division to lose. John, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, so as far as the NFC East, I mean, that's over. Like, I don't know about Washington or the Giants. Like, I don't know what they're going to be.
Both those teams won yesterday, John.
Like, I can't speculate because both teams did win yesterday. But as far as the Cowboys, like, the division's over for them. Like, you just got, I mean, the NFC isn't great when it comes to the wild cards, being honest. So if they can tread water, they can go and get a quarterback like a Jimmy G at the right price, or go and get a veteran quarterback to hold them over, then I think they'll be all right because NFC isn't great outside of the division leaders. I think the Vikings or Packers will get the other wild card. I think they have a chance to go and get one. They just got to hang around 500. I think maybe 9-8 gets you a wild card, or maybe even 8-9. So as long as they can hang around, they'll be all right when he comes back.
Mike, 30 seconds. I'm going to give you the final word, then we're moving on from this.
Well, Ray, I'll give you a worthless stat. Cooper Rush is 1-0 as a starter. He beat the Vikings last year. And you know I don't hang my head on that. I knew I'd make you laugh at that. No, but look, after week one, like I said, I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to say it's over. Is it a huge mountain to climb? After what I saw from, the Eagles offense, what they put up yesterday, Brian Dable, funny. Got a running back like Saquon Barkley. Yeah, he looks good. So, and with Washington, Wentz still threw 2 picks. I could care, Eric, I could care less about them. But the division might be out of hand. But if they, like John said, if they can tread water, all you got to do is split division games and hope for the best outside of it.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to our next topic here tonight on the Sports Arena, and it does involve the Green Bay Packers. They did face Kirk Cousins, excuse me, and the Minnesota Vikings. But Green Bay did lose. Now, and shout out to my man Ray, because I appreciate all the work he put into tonight's episode. They lost week 1 last year against Jacksonville. And
that was the Saints.
Against the Saints in Jacksonville.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They lost. It was in Jacksonville. They were playing the Saints. Thank you. So history kind of repeated itself. Aaron Rodgers, everybody chill. RELAX. Should we be worried, or is this more of the same? John Shear, I see you shaking your head, so I'm going to let you go.
I tried telling you guys. I tried telling everybody in that damn comment section, back-to-back MVPs, there's no way he'll be fine. He did it before Adams. He'll do it after Adams. I'm not an overreaction guy, but what I saw yesterday, you watched the first play of the game where Watson dropped a 75-yard touchdown. Look at Rodgers' face. Look at his body language. He does not trust these young receivers. This team is not the same without Adams. I'm telling you. And I told you guys before that the Vikings are winning this division. Mike Zimmer's gone. That clown is finally gone. And they got a nice head coach. I like what they got from the Rams. I think that the Vikings are far and away the best team in this division. They'll end up tying the Packers for record, but the Packers can't cover Justin Jefferson. And they're going to get swept by the Vikings. Vikings are just better. Packers are going to get a wild card, but, I'm not scared of this team. If I'm watching the Packers and I'm in the NFC, I'm like, this ain't that bad. Like, what do I got to fear on that offense?
Okay.
Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon didn't look that good.
Ray, I see you with that. You're questioning, you're pondering something, sir. So I'm going to let you take the floor.
Don't even put me on a solo shot. I want everybody. I want the whole panel still on here. I'm trying to understand a few things here. First off, let's start here. 15 for 28, 133 yards, 2 interceptions, and no touchdowns. Sounds awful, right? That was Aaron Rodgers in week 1 last year. He was more awful last year in week 1 than he was this year when he really hasn't played in the preseason with these guys. They haven't had time to gel. He don't know who his number 1 guy is. If you paid attention late in the game, he was developing a little chemistry with the rookie. I think that's going to be his guy. He's no Devontae Adams. But again, this is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. Like, John is going, I told you guys, you said the exact same things about Patrick Mahomes. You said the exact same things about Tyreek Hill being missing from KC.
Did you hear the 5
touchdowns
that I read?
I would like to finish. I'd like to finish, sir. That got through for 360 and 5 touchdowns, right? So, like I said about both those guys, great quarterbacks will be great. What I don't get about John is this. John says, all these guys are done. I told you in the comment section, the Vikings are far and away the best team in this division. They're going to tie the Packers. Is that what you said, John?
They're going to tie it in record. That's what's going to happen. They're going to sweep them.
So I'm trying to understand how you can say the Vikings are far and away the best team in this division. They already have basically a 2-game lead because they beat them, right? They already have a 2-game lead. Aaron Rodgers is horrible. Don't trust his receivers. How are they going to tie in record, John? You don't believe in Aaron Rodgers.
You get to face teams like the Bears and the Lions twice a year.
Whoa. The Bears won yesterday, John.
Let's not do that, Eric. You're better than that.
Scheer.
Let's not do that.
John Scheer.
Stop
winning.
That was a monsoon. Stop it.
So what? They played it. Okay. How is that any different than the Buffalo New England game in the snow where you keep saying Mac Jones
55-mile-an-hour wind,
same thing.
19 yards? John,
when we get to Sunday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers is going to kill the Bears, own them again this Sunday. It's going to be the same thing.
I hear you. We just talked about Dallas last year and their 6 wins in the division, right? So they've already lost the game in the division. And you say that Minnesota is clearly the best team in the division, right? So when you say they're going to tie them because the division's weak, I just want you to know Green Bay has to play at Tampa Bay. They have to play at Buffalo. They have to play at Philly. They have to play at Miami. They have to play the Rams. They have to play Tennessee. Where do you see that schedule being that easy where they're going to walk through the division and then steal time? Because you say Minnesota's the best team. That's not an easy schedule, John. So how are they supposed to time? Because you don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. He's supposed to be done.
They're going to tie in record. I mean, it's still the Minnesota Vikings. Like, they still find ways to lose games. They're still the Minnesota Vikings, a snake-bitten franchise. But overall, talent-wise, they're way better than the Packers.
All right.
Eric,
go ahead, sir.
Eric, because they have no marquee receiver, right? When the Packers go 12-5 and Aaron Rodgers throws for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns and whatever he's going to do, he will be right there in the top 3, top 4 in MVP voting again, may even win it again. You heard it here first. Go ahead and do what you do, Eric. Do that little thing where you go ahead and crop that out and put it up where Ray said Aaron Rodgers will be right there in the mix for MVP. You heard it here first. What am I? Book it. Ain't that what we supposed to say? Book it.
Yes.
The last time Eric booked something, it ended up going in his face. So
Mike Caratenuto, please talk to me about Green Bay. And are we overreacting, if you will, to the loss yesterday?
Of course it's going to be a little bit of an overreact. People aren't going to overreact as much because, like Ray said, it's Aaron Rodgers. But I think yesterday's loss, when you go back to last year, looks worse because yes, Devontae Adams isn't there with those running backs. So Devontae Adams is gone from that. Minnesota's defense punched them in the mouth. And another thing, John, Mike Zimmer, who drafted Dalvin Cook.
Mike Zimmer's an idiot.
Who drafted Justin Jefferson. Mike Zimmer's, first of all, not an idiot. You talk to anybody in NFL circles, you talk to – yeah, okay. I talked to your friend Herm Edwards about Mike Zimmer, Eric. Had a good 15-minute conversation about different defensive guys. Oh, and I was talking to Marvin Lewis about him too. John, you're an idiot because Mike Zimmer's far from. Maybe as a head coach, one thing. As a coordinator, not even close. So, but that being said, the Packers' defense wasn't great. Ray, we talked about this 2 weeks ago too. The Packers' offensive line, we're talking about receivers getting together. That Vikings defense, all drafted by Mike Zimmer, by the way, punched them in the mouth yesterday. Fine, it was in Minnesota. Fine, it was at home. I think yesterday's loss looks worse. Last year, I was like, I think this is just a blip for the Packers because Aaron Rodgers didn't play all the training camp. We had to deal with is he going to retire, be traded, all that crap because he wants all the attention in the world and then wants to grow his hair out like he looks like a fool for Halloween, whatever. But when you look at the football he can play, yes, a receiver on the opening play, dropping a wide open 75-yard touchdown pass. No surprise with Aaron Rodgers' body language. You need to get on the same page. But for Minnesota, yeah, it is 2 games. They are ahead of them. I credit Minnesota's defense for just punching him in the mouth, punching that offensive line in the mouth, setting the line of scrimmage, which they need to reset the line of scrimmage, which they need to do, and push it back. So, again, if you're Packers fans, yeah, you have Aaron Rodgers. You're going to be confident. You think your running backs against other defenses are going to get started. But, dude, they're going to get – I'm sorry. They play like that against Buffalo. Buffalo might put up 50 on them.
That Vikings defensive line was pretty ferocious. I didn't know it was
100%. 100%. You know they were all drafted by Mike Zimmer?
That doesn't make him a good coach.
I cannot wait till Aaron Rodgers throws for 350 next week, and then y'all gonna go, oh, it was just the Bears. That's exactly what's gonna happen.
On that note, gentlemen, we're taking a 13-second break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into the Sports Arena. Man, Eric Wilson alongside Mike Harris-Nuno, Believe in the Pac-12. John Shear, Bluehawks 13, Sideline Sports, and my man, sports reporter without pay, Mr. Ray Lynn. Again, all the topics. We covered the top 3. Let's get to these bottom 3. So we haven't spoken, at least here on the Sports Arena, since Wednesday night when we made our predictions for the Buffalo Rams game. So really quick, I want to go over this because we've got a couple of topics I want to get to tonight. But, gentlemen, give me your thoughts on Buffalo Bills and Los Angeles Rams. And Ray, you know I'm coming to you first because this is the guy, sir, that you are always talking about, your former quarterback who went to Los Angeles and won a championship. And anytime we mention the LA Rams, you make it abundantly clear to mention that the starting quarterback is Matthew Stafford. So I'm talking to you, sir, first and foremost. What do you think about what happened Thursday night with Matthew Stafford and the defending champion, Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams?
I had to remember what show I'm on. This is the Sports Arena, because if you recall, I cover the Los Angeles Rams on Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel, and I wasn't able to be on the show. And I sent over a video, and in that video, I said the Rams are going to lose tonight to the Bills. Why? Because the Bills are still playing off those fumes from last year. That sour taste has been in their mouth all off season. They're going to come out with a point to prove against the reigning Super Bowl champions. The Bills showed last year against Kansas City they can play with anybody, and they came out in this game, right? Whole first half was sloppy, right? But you felt like, even with the score, you felt like the Bills were playing better, right? So again, like I said, the Bills bring back all of their pieces from last year. They came out like I said they would, playing like they have a point to prove. They wanted to make a statement, and they did just that. The Rams, Super Bowl hangover. Matt Stafford's been injured during preseason, lingering elbow. New receivers, right? Robert Woods traded. OBJ's gone. On defense, you lose Von Miller. In fact, he's on the other side coming at you. A whole lot going on. It was just everything was lined up for them to lose this game, which is why I called them losing that game. And if you recall in my preview, I said this is no indication of what kind of season they're going to have. They're still going to win 12, 13 games. They're still going to be in the mix. They're still going to be one of the contenders out of the NFC. Same thing as we started talking about Andrew Rodgers. When they go out next week and stump Atlanta, everybody going to say, oh, it's just Atlanta. No, the Rams are going to be a very good team, right? But Buffalo Buffalo like that. I credit Buffalo. I don't want to give the Rams excuses. Buffalo's a very good team. They're going to be one of the last 2 or 3 standing in the AFC. But I called that they were going to lose this game.
All right, fair enough. And yeah, shameless plug. Thursday nights, you can check out Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel. And thank you, Ray, for filling in and taking care of the Rams this season, because I know that is not your team, but you were stepping out of your comfort zone. So I really appreciate that, much like John has done and very much like Mike has done. Here's what I'm going to say about Buffalo and the Rams game from Thursday night. Buffalo is my pick to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year in Arizona, Mike Harris-Nuno's backyard. And what they put on Thursday night basically was letting the world know and serving notice to everybody. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter whether you come to us or we come to you. We gonna punch you in the mouth. Deal with it. John Shear, talk to me about it, sir.
Yeah, I'm really concerned. My takeaway from this game is, first of all, Raylan likes to run his mouth about Allen Robinson not doing anything. Well, did you watch his route tree? Did you watch every route? Basically, was they had him run a hook. Basically, all he would do is run out, curl and stand there. Like, that was most of his routes the entire night. That's not on him. That's on the offensive coordinator giving him garbage routes, just walking out, standing there, asking for the ball. Like, that was basically what they did with him the entire night. If you go and watch all of his routes, which I did, that's what he did the entire night. There was not one time where they had him go deep down the field. Not one time. So that was what they did with Allen Robinson. That's why you didn't see Allen Robinson. That's why Allen Robinson only got 2 targets the entire night. How do you target a guy like that who's a pretty good receiver 2 times? It makes no sense. My concern is Matt Stafford's arm, his elbow. Like, I'm worried that it's not going to get better. They're still going to win the same amount of games you said, Ray, but I'm concerned about that elbow. That's my takeaway from this game.
John, let me ask you a question. How does elbow look when he was throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp?
Of course, Cooper Kupp catches everything, but I'm worried.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Cooper Kupp has never had a season like he had last year until that guy had to go throw in the hat. Came on over there, right? Like, Cooper Kupp's a very good receiver. Top 3 in the league. I put him up there. It's him, Chase, Jefferson, those guys, Diggs. You can put in that comment. Those guys, right? Like, Cooper Kupp is right there with those guys. But he wasn't having that kind of season with Jared Goff. Wasn't going to never have that kind of season with
My
Jared
concern
Goff.
with Cooper Kupp was always the health. That was always my concern. I always thought he had the talent, just the health was always the problem.
I saw the same thing against the Buffalo Bills that I saw in the Super Bowl. Do you recall? You ever seen Any Given Sunday?
Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, you ever seen Any Given Sunday though? Go to the Buick, right? I'm gonna throw it to the Buick. Background football. Just run to the Buick and turn around. Like, when the going got tough in the Super Bowl, the playbook became give the ball to Cooper Kupp. Right? That's what happened in the game the other night. It was like, okay, we're going to throw it to Cooper Kupp. And he got open whenever he wanted to.
But you're a Lions fan. You remember he did the same thing when he had Calvin Johnson, which I don't blame you when you have a guy of that caliber. You're going to want to throw to him a lot. But I watched the Lions a lot. When Calvin Johnson left, Matt Stafford had to learn how to spread the ball around, which made him a better quarterback, in my opinion, that he actually had to go through his progressions instead of thrown into triple coverage.
Let me ask you a question. Is there any, do we pay any attention to the idea that the typical take on Allen Robinson is his effort and that he's lazy, right? This is what Chicago fans said. And all the tweets and Twitter was going crazy saying, well, they go Allen Robinson being Allen Robinson. Like, you're saying all they had him running was hook routes. But if you look at a lot of those routes, he was giving up on his route. He wasn't running them with any conviction.
Oh, I don't disagree with you about that with him. I just think that, like, giving him those type of routes and only throwing him 2 times all game is a little bit absurd. They have no Tre'Davious White on the Bills that game. They have their best corner is not playing. So why are you not spreading the ball around? You have weapons. Like, it's not just Cooper Kupp on the team. I don't understand, like, why Stafford's forcing the ball to Kupp, who's a great, great player. I get it. But you got a lot of weapons. Like, spread it around. It just makes no sense to me.
Hold that thought. Let me get Mike in here to get his thoughts on the Thursday night game, and then we got to keep it moving. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Raylan. I said the Bills, and your Super Bowl prediction, Eric, they come out with their hair on fire just because the only thing Josh Allen did wrong in that last game against the Chiefs was what, call heads. But look, Cooper Kupp, first Matthew Stafford's not forcing on the ball. Most of Cooper, I mean, there was a few times guys are there, and you act like Tre'Davious White is the only person in the secondary the Bills have. Top to bottom, best lineup, best roster in football. And those safeties just kept playing high and saying, go ahead, try and get it to him. Cooper Kupp got open. Ball wasn't forced to him. He was just open. Yes, Allen Robinson could have run some different things. And you said you saw it, John, so I won't pick on you too much. He did give up maybe on some of those routes. But the way Buffalo played, I mean, Josh Allen, still threw 2 picks and was their leading rusher. And that play against Bobby Wagner is just a signature of toughness of the Bills, just like their coach, Sean McDermott. Like, not many quarterbacks are going to go up against Bobby Wagner as he's keeping him out of the end zone and lean forward and push him back and stretch the ball out across the plane. So, look, I'm not going to say the Rams are obviously in dire straits. Do I think Stafford's elbow may have been bothering him? Obviously, I mean, he did throw 3 interceptions, 2 of them, again, not on him, balls off the receiver's hands, and it goes to a defender. But I love the way the Rams played. I like how Sean McVay just said, we played a good team, not taking anything away from them. There's a lot I did wrong. I need to do this. And he typically does that. So, yeah, the West is as we saw from the Niners yesterday. And I mean, well, the Seahawks are actually leading right now, but it's their division to lose still. I'm not going to, again, freak out, just like I'm not going to, again, with Aaron Rodgers saying he's not going to find it. But I mean, the Bills, again, they're just going to keep playing. They have to play all these tough teams, and they sent a statement. And Josh Allen and Von Miller. Von Miller is a most phenomenal difference, and I was hoping he would stay in Texas or go back to Texas, I should say. But having him on the other side now with that defensive line, if Ed Oliver, I know he got a little banged up, he stays healthy. Milano at linebacker. When you get your Davius White back, you still have Poyer and at safety. It's insane what they can do defensively. And then offense, I mean, you don't want Josh Allen, lastly, Eric, to have to be your leading rusher, but it's not like he can't stomach it. So that's just a sick team. It's no.
Josh Allen is built different. I don't care what anybody says. Josh Allen is built different. Okay. I don't want him running. Believe me, I don't. But if there is one quarterback I have to say that I do trust to get me about 6 yards if necessary, Josh Allen will take that hit and get you 6, if not 7. So
he delivers the hit.
You didn't even talk about Jalen Ramsey being just terrible in coverage.
No, Jalen Ramsey, until Jalen Ramsey shows up, I'm not talking about Jalen Ramsey, okay? Because Jalen Ramsey came out here and said, I'm not going to give him any credit. I'm not going to talk about him. He said he was a bad draft pick. But, yeah, Josh Allen is undefeated when he plays against Jalen Ramsey. So until Jalen Ramsey does something that worthies me of speaking that man's name, I'm going to keep his name out my mouth. We're moving on. So,
hey,
yeah.
Last thing on that game, and this is towards John. If I threw a guy the ball 15 times and he was going to catch it 13, I'm going to keep throwing it to him.
Amen.
That's a hell of a, like, 13 out of 15 targets. Oh, yeah, I'm going to keep throwing it to him.
I'm just saying, when you have weapons, you got to spread it around.
All right, we're going to keep it going. We were going to do another topic, but we're going to audible and move away from that one because I want to get to your guys' segments here tonight. We got about 13 minutes left. Let's move on to this one. And, Ray, I'm really glad you brought this to the table, man. Thank you so much for doing this tonight. Trey Lance, Justin Fields. Gentlemen, I'm going to give each of you 1 minute, and, yes, I'm putting the counter on everybody, Mike, to give me your thoughts on this one. All right? Who has a better chance of fulfilling their potential? John Scheer, I'm going to start with you. You get 1 minute, sir. Go.
In their respective places right now, I would say Trey Lance. I mean, I don't think they like Justin Fields at all there. I don't think that he's going to be given a fair shake. I've already said that before. Trey Lance has way better weapons around him, a way better offensive line. So it's got to be Trey Lance. He has Kyle Shanahan at his side. Justin Fields' head coach is a defensive coordinator, former defensive coordinator of the Colts. So, like, they're setting Trey Lance up for success, whether he succeeds or not. He has a much better opportunity to succeed. There's no weapons for Justin Fields. Like, you got to give him, a young quarterback, something to throw to, and there's absolutely nothing to throw to. So it's got to be Trey Lance.
All right, Ray Lynn, talk to me.
For many of the same reasons John alluded, I'm going to say Trey Lance, but I'll talk about Justin Fields' situation for a minute. We talked about this on another show, right? When is the last time Chicago had or developed a quarterback, right? Like, Jay Cutler was solid there, right? Mitchell Trubisky, they go up in the draft, they get him, and then things just go left, right? Like, I mean, they went to, we talked about Super Bowl with Grossman. Like, they've never had good quarterbacks. Even the 80s teams with the great defense, right? McMahon wasn't like, you know what I mean? That's not what Chicago does. They don't develop quarterbacks. You can't tell me a superstar quarterback that's ever played there. So all that talent that kid got is going to go to waste until he gets out of Chicago. Trey Lance, on the other hand, we judge quarterbacks off winning and losing. And in San Francisco, they have shown that they can win with subpar or just okay quarterback play, right? They did it with Alex Smith. They did it with Colin Kaepernick. They did it with Jimmy G. So this kid has a chance to win games while he develops and branches out to, explore his talent. So I'm going to go with Trey Lance.
Mike?
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, I said when we were talking about the Bears, I said Justin Fields would probably take a huge step forward, but his development would go forward because obviously the joke regime behind him, even though they drafted him, is gone. But for Trey Lance, he's in a better situation. So as Ray Lynn's saying, he's in a better situation. I think Justin Fields, though, heck, if the Bears could play every game in that weather, they might be 11-6. I mean, if they got to play in that kind of crappy weather all the time, then it's because the Niners definitely couldn't handle it. You can say it's week one and all the preseason stuff, but I like how Justin Fields looked. I liked how he stayed poised, especially in a sloppy game. Trey Lance said he made those mistakes, and he did, but yeah, Trey Lance is in a better situation, but I think Justin Fields still takes a bigger step forward this year.
Listen, I have been a proponent of the success of Justin Fields from the night he was drafted. And I will continually support that young man based on who he is, the color of his skin, and the situation that he is in. So I am saying that he has the potential. And the one thing that John brought up that we didn't talk about was, is it going to be with his current team or is it going to be down the road? See, that was left out of the question. I'm just saying overall, at the end of their careers, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say Justin Fields fulfilled his potential more so than Trey Lance, because Justin Fields has had to work through everything in order to be successful. Not saying that Trey Lance was handed stuff, but sometimes you get fortunate to walk into a situation that is built for you to succeed. Other times, you have to go in and be the one to do that grunt work. You have to be the one to go through the mud to actually come out clean on the other side. That's why I support Justin Fields and say his potential is going to be a lot better. All right, guys, let's get to our segments here. I'm going to start with John Scheer. John, give me some MLB news and notes, sir. Talk to me.
I'm going to bring it up again. Aaron Judge keeps creeping closer to Roger Maris's all-time record for the home runs. That would be the home run king. If you can do that, you can get to that 61, because everybody above that just doesn't count because you are cheaters. So that doesn't count to me. So Aaron Judge is close to being the all-time home run king in a single season. I'm going to keep bringing it up until he breaks it, because baseball hasn't had this type of hype since we've had Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa back and forth. We all remember how exciting that was for the game of baseball. So they really haven't had something of this magnitude since early 2000s. So I'm going to keep bringing it up. Even though I hate the Yankees, like, Aaron Judge is on a historic pace to break the all-time home run record in a single season. Congrats to that, man. And it would be cool as a baseball fan to see something like that in our lifetime, see somebody break the home run record in a season in our lifetime, because we've never seen it.
All right, Mike Carrottenuto, college football, baby. Talk to me.
Man, it was a crazy weekend. First, to Nebraska fans. Again, Nebraska usually doesn't overreact, but Scott Frost, who little background on Scott Frost, which is funny because he went out to UCLA and then he got so much crap when he went back home to Nebraska when he was playing back in the day before the transfer portal. He came back to Nebraska, had a good career there, has a solid coaching career down at UCF, and then comes back home to Nebraska, can't get it going. They lose to Georgia Southern at home. Not surprised there. My biggest takeaways from the weekend, though, were awesome. Yes, my Devils lost. These colors don't run. They went on the road to Oklahoma State and lost. But Alabama got beat up. I don't want to hear excuses. They played bad, this and that excuse. Texas's defensive line, if you watch that game, beat them up for 2.5 quarters. They even lost their starting quarterback, Quinn Ewers, who looked freaking amazing until he went down. So they struggle. Bryce Young, a heck of a last drive, but Texas definitely is back. They struggle against a non-ranked team. And thank you, Appalachian State, for going into Texas A&M and beating the Aggies. And like I told Aggies fans, like Eric, you say, stop running your lips. I don't care if you win out. You lost to Appalachian State at home. You don't get to go to any playoff. Props to Appalachian State, who put up 60 in Nebraska, or 60 against Carolina and 61 and lost, and then goes into College Station and smacks them around. And John, I ran out of time. I don't even get to pick on you to losing to Kentucky. Back to you, Eric.
Kentucky is ranked 20th.
All right. Ray Lynn, NBA, my brother, give it to me.
I am going to drive some people crazy with this, but guess what? The sports reporter Rob Page does not care. I'm so sick and tired of the Hall of Fame. Like, the Hall of Fame makes me sick. Like, it is not like when you think, and you know what? It's across all sports. Baseball Hall of Fame is horrible. Like, hockey, I don't know. At least the NFL like tries to like make guys wait or keep guys out. But the Basketball Hall of Fame is just atrocious. Like anybody who's an okay popular player gets in. If somebody had a career of 7 All-Star appearances and 7 All-NBAs, that sounds like a pretty good career. That is the combined number of All-Star appearances and All-NBA appearances for the 2 basketball inductees this past weekend. Tim Hardaway ain't never done nothing special in the NBA. Very good player, nice crossover, but he wasn't special. He wasn't an all-time great. Manu Ginobili, a career 6-man who's popular for a Eurostep and being on a championship team. You, sir, are not one of the greats. You're a very good player that played on a great team. Even the coaches they let in suck. Dale Harris, they used contributor to get him in. Never coached in the NBA Finals. George Karl, been to one NBA Finals. Never won big thing. You just have to be okay and hang around long enough, and they just put you in the Hall. As long as you've been around long enough and people like you can go in the Hall of Fame. I hate it. I hate the Hall of Fame. They say the NBA needs their own, but even if they had their own, we're going to let guys like Tim Hardaway in the Hall of Fame? Tim Hardaway, a 5-time All-Star, like he's going to be mentioned. There's not a separate hall. He gets to hang his jacket in the same place as Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton. Tim Hardaway's not that. And I don't even want to keep going on Magic. I hate the Hall of Fame. I hate it.
I've been saying it for years, Ray.
All right. So for me, really quick, just my news and notes are I got to take a moment and recognize the fact that my team, the WNBA Chicago Sky, reigning champs until the end of this week or possibly into next, will not be going back to back. So I do want to show love to the Las Vegas Aces under Becky Hammon, the first player coach to not only play in the WNBA finals, but also coach in it. Congratulations to her. A'ja Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, dominant. But I will also say that I will recognize Jonquel Jones, DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, Brianna Jones, Kurt Miller, and the Connecticut Sun, because they have put up a fight. And quiet as they were this season, they are in the WNBA finals. So congratulations to both those teams. I'm looking forward to game 2 tomorrow. I just hope Connecticut's got enough in the tank to bring it back to the Mohegan Sun for at least 2 games, because I'm telling you right now, if Vegas goes up 2-0, you might as well consider it a foregone conclusion. Aces in 4.
And how about that sellout crowd, Eric?
Yeah, game 1 sold. Well, it's Vegas too, but game 1 sold out the same weekend that the Raiders are playing the Chargers. Even though the Raiders were the away team, it just worked. So, gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here tonight on the Sports Arena. I really appreciate everybody. You know what? We will talk to y'all Wednesday night. Also, really quick, John, actually, we'll talk about that offline. Next Monday night, we will have a guest. He is a trainer for the Jumpman brand. He's going to be joining me from 9:30 till 10, and then I'm going to bring the crew on at 10 o'clock. He might stick around with us and talk sports the entire night. I'll see what his schedule dictates. But for the Sports Reporter without pay, Ray Lynn, Believe in the Pac-12, Mike Caratanudo, Blue Hawks 13, my man John Shear. Real quick before we get out of here, I saw you turn and look at the TV. What's the score, Mike? Real quick, give us an update.
17-16.
17-16. Seahawks are up, but I
By
won.
one. Okay, I ain't worried about that. My cousin Russ is going to get it done. He's going to cook back at the 12. That's all of us for the Sports Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Everyone stay blessed. We'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.